I just like to have the Zencaster in case, like, because every once in a while we've said something beforehand and I'm like, fuck, why isn't that recorded? Like, that's so good. We should have just had that because we're just sitting here shooting shit, and that's some of the best stuff sometimes. So
yeah,
fuck off. God, fuck you. Fuck you. Yeah, best stuff. Great, cool. Welcome to Rough Cuts, fuckheads.
Dogs, they're coming. They're coming your way. They'll be here soon.
that was a good investment. That slide whistle. Woo!
Can't believe you actually got it. God damn it. So, this is Rough Cuts. We watch bad movies with good boys in them. Generally dogs.
But we fucked up.
This was
We fucked up.
You told me this is a HedgeDog. I believed you. But it's not a HedgeDog, it's a hedgehog.
There's a dog in this movie.
There is a dog in this movie.
counts.
I actually had a dog count for my notes just to see how many times the dog would show up. Or dogs would show up. By the way, I'm Ilyon, and my co-host Boyks.
Hey, I'm Boyks. Look, if the movie has a dog in it, it fucking counts. All right, I don't make the rules for this podcast. That's just how it works.
We're allowed to make the rules for this podcast, I believe.
Oh
I
shit!
think.
I didn't think.
Maybe.
Oh, just like Sonic, who doesn't abide by the rules.
Sonic abide by every rule but the speed limit. Or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm Sonic, a little ball of super energy in an extremely handsome package. On my planet, people were always after my powers, so I came to yours. It gets a little lonely, but that's okay. I am living my best life on Earth. Ow! Let the play Sonic! Let the bitches mount also Sonic!
Okay, I guess I do know what to talk about, but we can't really talk about, like, the bad things in this movie, because
I like this movie.
There weren't any.
Well, okay, hold on. There were some bad
Okay,
things in
well,
this
sure,
movie.
but, like, there wasn't...
Calm down.
There wasn't anything that was, like, straight up atrocious. Like, this movie's not terrible. No. There are things to criticize about basically every movie, but this movie is very competently done. It looks really good. Like, there's not a lot of real awful shit in it.
It's legitimately funny.
Yes.
There's good writing.
Yep.
They brought back Jim Carrey to literally just revise his Ace Ventura role, so that was good.
Yeah, Jim Carrey, I thought about this beforehand. I just wanted to have a little aside here for a second, because, like, I was thinking this morning about the podcast, and I was thinking, it's funny how Jim Carrey has a library of movies that is very much like Adam Sandler, right? And that it's, like, really dumb, kind of low-brow fart humor type, like, and physical comedy kind of shit. And yet, like, the vast gulf in quality between the two of them, because Jim Carrey isn't a fucking hack. Like, Jim Carrey is legitimately charming and funny and, like, interesting.
He doesn't invite all of his in living color friends onto every movie he
Yes.
makes so that they can get a paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. He cares. Like, it seems like he actually cares about these movies and puts on a real show and has fun with it. And it's like, it shines, like, it shows through. Jim Carrey is a fucking treat throughout this whole movie. He is hilarious.
Every scene.
Is there a scene in this movie where Jim Carrey is not, like, legitimately funny?
No.
I think that I had a smile on my face at the least every time he was on screen. He's so good.
His introduction scene where he's just, like, yelling and being an asshole.
Oh, yeah,
is,
that.
like, kind of not funny. It's just kind of dickish.
Yeah, they went... Well, it just kind of kept going forever, too.
Yeah, it went a little bit too long. After that scene, every scene with him is great.
Yeah, that's true. At the beginning of the movie, he yells at, like, a sergeant guy because he's taking over, and it's kind of set up for him to be, like, just kind of a bad guy asshole, but it just goes on so long. Like, it's like a minute and a half or 2 minutes of him just And that doesn't sound like long, but like
rating this guy.
Yeah, that's a long time. Like to give you an idea, this podcast has only been recording for like 3 minutes so far. So it's basically as long as this podcast of him just going like, hey, fuckhead, like, I'm the one in charge now. Hey, just zip it, like, just over and over. And you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, yes.
And as we all know, as listeners of this podcast takes forever to get through because it's so miserable.
Yes, exactly. God damn it.
Oh, my God.
God. You can't pull it out. Every 5 seconds, it's going to wear its shine off right away, even for you. You can't do that. I'm warning you as a friend. I'm warning you as a... This is as a friend, not as a co-host.
This is not an intervention. I will keep my slide whistle, and you cannot stop me.
But yeah, like Jim Carrey's great. I actually
Sonic
wrote
movie.
down a section of laughs because like I thought like, oh, like any big laughs or like things that make me chuckle or something I'll write down because I kind of assumed there wouldn't be that many. I stopped writing them down after a while because I'm like, fuck, I can't write all of them. There's too many good moments.
I felt like this could be a very dry movie in the wrong hands.
Yes.
Because a lot of video game adaptations are not written as films.
No.
They're written as some awful executive's way of trying to make money.
Yeah, they're often written as a
that's
loosely connected string of references rather than an actual movie where like they will change bits and pieces of things to actually fit inside of the narrative of a film, right? Like they're very afraid of doing that, and they also don't know how to handle the property, so they throw references everywhere, but it doesn't actually feel like the property because it doesn't flow like any kind of narrative does, so it just ends up being this weird, stilted, fan servicey mess, but that doesn't really hit on why fans like those things, right? Like there's some extremes to those movies too. There's let's say Street Fighter, which is not a good movie.
Oh god, no. And even if you compare Street Fighter to say Mortal Kombat has a lot of like the dumb fan service stuff, but at least it has like a corny film built around the arena that they're trying to do, the fighting tournament.
I mean, like, fan service is going to be a thing, and it should be a thing. Yeah. It's just that it ends up being... It's normally stilted. Like, it's normally it's crowbarred in really awkward ways.
Yeah.
Because there's no real narrative flow for it to actually happen naturally. Like, the way to do it properly is to have it just show up in the movie just as, like, a narrative point or as a thing in the background and not be, like, kind of had to be crowbarred in. Like, a lot of the times you're like... Oh, here comes that reference from 5 miles away. It's coming. Here it goes. Like, you can see, like, the setups just kind of getting in there, and it's just,
yeah. Like, or sometimes you get something that's, like, not even remotely, like, loosely related, like the Tomb Raider films, where it's just Lara Croft, but it's not, because it's just Angelina Jolie or whoever, and they're just doing action stuff, and none of it matters.
Yeah.
And it's, who gives a shit?
I'm only trying to turn you into a lady. And a lady should be modest.
Yes, a lady should be modest.
But this movie gives a shit, and that's weird. I didn't expect this to give a shit.
They cared about meta shit that I didn't think they would. Right?
There's a lot of, like, tiny references to things in this film, but they're not, like, overt in a way where it's like a wink and a nod and hey, do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? It's more like, hey, we drew a picture of Sonic from Crazy Whoever and it's the Sanic image. And that's it. That's the joke.
Sanic
and then it moves on. It moves on.
It was so fast, I wasn't sure I'd seen it.
Like, yeah, you're like, wait, was that a...
I was like, wait, did they do Sanic? Like, did they put Sanic in this fucking movie? Yes.
They did.
They put Sanic in this movie.
That's hilarious.
It was great. It was so good.
The one thing I didn't think was the fucking Sanic MS Paint image. That is not a thing I expected.
No.
Like, oh, great. That's funny.
Yeah, it's really good. Well, and I kind of expected some lowbrow ways of doing that, which is why in my predictions, we actually did beforehand, I asked you, to put out some predictions that we had
Yes.
for the movie. One of my predictions was kind of a little bit of a lowbrow version of that, although I think there's a good way to do it, which was furries, that there would be furries in this movie, because I thought they would just, like, have him stumble into, like, some kind of convention or something and be like, oh my god, it's, like, my people, and then they're like, no, and just shuffle him away, right? Like, oh shit, no.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's, like, a little more crass, but I thought they might do something like that.
But the movie's actually kind of touching.
Yes.
And
yep.
it's weird to be like, yeah, I like that character, you know, Sonic,
Yeah.
the hedgehog,
Yeah.
the one that was like actually emotionally
Who had an arc.
invested.
And you got
and had an
invested in
arc.
whether or not he succeeded and cared about, like, his goals and aspirations and what he was doing.
And don't even get me started on Cyclops from X-Men, because he was great too.
Yeah.
That was the cop guy,
Yep.
the sheriff.
Donut Lord, as the movie called him.
Donut. They did a fucking Batman reference with Donut Lord at the end.
Oh, did they?
I'm the Donut.
Oh,
Lord.
yeah, he did. Yeah, okay.
I'm
Kind of.
Batman.
Yeah, sure.
They did an I'm Batman, like, dark
Yeah, I never thought
lighting,
about that.
zoom
Yeah,
in on him,
that's
and like,
fair.
oh, that's fucking hilarious. They were like just throwing all these random jokes out there.
So, like, Sonic's arc in this
yeah.
movie, to actually do, like, I kind of want to go into the movie a little bit here, I guess. In that,
Well,
I mean, like, his arc.
yeah, we could.
Well, just, like,
We
kind of
could.
his arc, at
Do we
least.
want to do like a spoiler section and do like an overall arc, and then talk maybe a little bit more specific? Or...
Sure.
Eh?
Yeah, I just.
Okay, let's do the arc in general.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Well, it was, like, the reason why you get emotionally invested in him is I was just thinking, like, in a lot of these video game movies, it feels like you wrote down, like, something about, like, main character goes after MacGuffin, right? Like, and
Yeah, hero looks for MacGuffin.
yeah, here it looks for MacGuffin, which, I mean, honestly, that's kind of every movie, but also these movies tend to, they're like, well, Sonic needs the rings, and then they kind of just fall there. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of video games movies would be like, well, you know, Mario needs to get a mushroom, and it's like, why does Mario need a mushroom? It's like, well, because...
Well, the reason Mario needs a mushroom is because he's in an underground post-apocalyptic
Sure, but, like,
city, and he has to get jumping boots that allow him to catch a dinosaur because everybody's being turned into mushrooms by King Koopa.
Man, that movie fucking
a
rules!
lizard who turned into a human. And then they get jumping
yes,
shoes from a
yeah.
prostitute who's... Okay, look.
Give me that Devo gun! Monkey!
You don't tell me Super Mario Brothers movie is bad. I fucking love
No,
that
well,
movie. That's why they need that.
But I'm saying that, like, I'm trying, generally, though, if
I
you were
know.
to take a iconic video game property, they would want
Sure.
him to have the rings simply because the video game has him go after rings. And that would basically be the characterization, and that would be the quest. Like, they wouldn't do an arc or a reason why it was there, like, beyond, like, the most superficial shit. Whereas this one sets it up as, like, oh, he gets run out of his home, the rings are a teleportation thing, he has to, like, so he leaves all of the family that he knows and loves, runs away to Earth, and he's got these rings in case he has to run away again, but he really doesn't want to do that because he's already lost one home, and he's settled in here, and he doesn't want to be lonely, he wants to make a new family. And it's like, holy shit, that's, like, relatable. That matters.
It
Like,
is,
that's
yeah.
a thing that a person would feel.
I don't want to leave my home into a place that is unknown with people or places I don't know. That's fair.
Yeah.
Like that's a story. And they took a leap of logic.
And like, I want a family here. Like, I want to rebuild my family that I had. Like, that idea of I want somewhere safe and home again. And it's like, yeah, that's real fucking fair, Sonic. Like, yep,
Yeah.
that's a good character arc. And it has that kind of whole thing there where he's like afraid of everything because he doesn't want to be caught and found by anybody that wants his power, his super speed. And then slowly realizing that, like, well, maybe some things are, you know, you can't be scared all the time, and you have to actually put your values down. Like, you gotta fight for what you really want, right? and there's kind of that arc.
You can't always be running away.
You can't always run away. Sometimes you have, like, I've got this great and special power. Maybe instead of using it to just protect myself and run, I should use it to protect the people that I love and fight for what I want. And that's a cool little arc. Like, it's not super deep or anything, but for a kids movie, it's a very serviceable way of having him have a character arc. It's good.
It feels very much like an 80s animated movie type of story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Rather than a vapid 90s 2000s kids movie story.
Yes.
If that
or
makes
like
sense.
video game rip-off property, right? Like the Tomb Raiders and all those kinds of things that went on for a while there, where
they made a Blood Rain movie.
Yeah, they made a lot of them. Yeah, like how did they make Blood Rain before Sonic? But yeah, I mean they did all.
Don't
kinds
worry
of
about
things.
it.
Yeah, it there's a bunch of things like that it doesn't fall into the category of those. It's very standard in a lot of ways. It's not a revelation, but it's a revelation in the way that it is a video game movie that isn't like those old video game movies, like where it's just an obvious shell.
It does an actual good job of taking a well-established character and making it more approachable for a newer audience that is not aware of that character.
Yep.
And at the same time, still able to bring in the folks that are fans of it.
Yes.
And that is extremely, extremely hard to do because of the pigeonholes of past writing for those characters. Sonic's not a new character,
God, no.
of course. And it's not even the video games. Other than Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, there's no real... Okay, Sonic 06, but there's no real, Sonic game that has... In Sonic 06, there's some Sonic-human relationship. That's fucking weird. But we're gonna go past that.
Yeah.
So
they didn't bring in all of the video game references in this one.
No, but even outside of the video game references, there were TV shows. There was fucking Urkel. How do you get past Urkel voicing Sonic?
Yeah.
How do you do that? That's such a hard job.
Yeah.
And they did that. Like Ben Schwartz, the guy who voiced Sonic in this, and I think he also voiced Ted, that teddy bear movie.
Did he? Maybe.
I think
he might
so.
have.
I think he was Ted.
He's a really good actor. I actually really like him.
He's a very funny guy.
He's very charming, and he's just got like an easy charm about him that it just kind of radiates. And it seemed like this is something where the marketing for this film was actually kind of spot on. Just before we went to this, I put them to the side a little bit because I didn't want to actually look at trailers and spoilers and things like that. But he did like an interview with Polygon that looked like it was really good. But one that I did watch
that was very funny.
Was he also did he did like the fastest interview kind of thing.
If you had Sonic's powers, what crimes would you do?
Okay, I'd probably steal. Where do you live?
Brooklyn.
I would steal from your place. I would 100% steal from your place, but replace it with like if you had pants that were like, let's say, you look like you're a 21 waist. So let's say you had like a 21 waist, I'd replace them with like a 19 waist or something like that. Or if you had shoes, I'd put like a little bit of cheese in, but enough to make you feel like, oh my God, did my feet make that? It's not real cheese, you know what I mean? Right. I'd try to screw with you enough that when you woke up, you'd be uncomfortable with setting out towards the day.
You would just use Sonic's powers to gaslight me.
Just you.
But one of the things is like, this is how good the marketing was. They got a very small Twitch streamer, like very, very small, someone who's not even partnered, and that speedruns Sonic games though, and had him sit down with Ben Schwartz, and they just talked about the game as he played it and showed the speedrun. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what
fucking
people
rules.
Want.
That's what people wanted. And like Ben Schwartz knows the game and is interested in it, like in a way like that he's invested in it. We're at that point where I feel like it's partially too because of the fact that we are at an age now, like I'm 33, where this
I'm gonna be 18 someday.
Yeah. But where the actors that we have in these roles grew up around the same time as us, and so they have that same experience. They know Sonic. Like Sonic isn't something that, it's not somebody going ahead and you've got somebody who's 30 years old playing a video game that came out like a year ago, and they don't even know what video games are, and they don't care, and they're like, I don't know, I'm a hedgehog. Like, it's not that anymore.
Yeah.
That might be a lot of what's happened with over time as well.
Sonic should be just on the brink of annoying.
Yes.
But not annoying. And that is an extremely fine line.
Yeah. And he like, is really on the brink of annoying at any moment in this film.
Yeah. And he nailed it.
Yes, yeah.
He, instead of being annoying, he came off as charming.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult.
He comes across as, like, your hyperactive, like, neighborhood kid, but that is, like, really good-hearted. Like, where, you know, you're kind of annoyed by them because it's like they always just want to play, they always want to do shit, and it's, like, kind of frustrating and just a little bit, like, you're kind of like, oh, man, you just need to settle for a second. But also at the same time, like, they just have the biggest heart. Like, they're just so nice. Like, they're really not, they don't have a mean bone in them kind of thing. And that's the line that they kind of hit with it. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's a good spot for Sonic to be. That's where Sonic needs to be.
So, I don't actually want to talk spoilers because I want people to watch this movie.
That's fair, sure.
But what I do want to do is I want to go over our lists and give us a grade based on how many we got right.
Yes, I did want to go over our list.
So we got 28 things that we wrote down.
Yep, I wrote 13, you wrote 15.
So this will be out of 28. I'm going to go through my list and mark off what I got correct. You're going to do yours, and then we're going to get a tally. Mm-hmm. Heavily accessorized vehicle. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Hero looking for a lost MacGuffin. Yes. Psychic tells the future. I was thinking, like, going to, a psychic and getting their fortune told or something.
Yeah, that's like kind of standard road quest kind of movie thing.
A ghost. There was no ghost.
I don't know why you thought ghost.
No large Marge. No large Marge.
No
ghost trucker.
God.
Look, okay, I'm going to admit it. My list is just every single major plot point in Pee-wee's.
I know, you wrote Pee-wee's Big Adventure down with a Fortnite with a question mark as the only deviation. And I'm fucking pissed that it's actually real accurate. Like, it is surprisingly close. It is so much closer than it ever should have been. It's obnoxious how close this is. Keep going.
Gas stop.
Yup.
They stopped for gas. Train hopping. They didn't jump on a train.
Didn't do that though. Yeah.
They didn't stop by the basement of the Alamo.
Nope.
Probably because they weren't in Texas. They were going to California.
Yeah,
if they were going to Texas, they would have.
There's no basement at the Alamo.
A rodeo / bull riding.
Yup.
Biker bar scene. Hey, tequila.
Yeah,
I'm actually
such a Pee Wee Herman Big Adventure moment.
That whole scene was Pee Wee Herman. It was awful.
Awful,
but I kind of enjoyed it. Awful in that it almost. It didn't rip it.
I don't think it ripped it off.
Sure.
No, I mean I don't think Pee Wee's Big Adventure was the first one to do biker bar with like somebody like out of place person in biker bar is a very common trope. That's a thing.
Fortnite, he flossed twice. I'm counting.
He flosses twice. He does some flossing. Yeah.
You and I both wrote down rescue the animals, so I don't think there was any rescuing of animals.
No, there was.
Technically.
Nope. No, there absolutely was. Right at the beginning, the turtle.
Oh, fuck the turtle.
Yeah, it's like
I totally forgot about
3 minutes into the
movie. That
movie.
was so good.
And it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, and like 3 minutes in the movie, he rescues an animal.
Bad guy gets thrown somewhere else. In Pee-wee, he actually activates Pee-wee's bike on accident and gets flung into the sky with like a catapult from it.
Yep.
But I'm counting that.
Well, yeah, it does do that, yeah.
There was no drive-in movie
There's
theater.
no drive-in movie theater.
There was a tourist trap. They stopped by that.
Yeah. 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 It was a very kind of like 30-second reference kind of thing.
But it was
Joke.
there.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Movie within a movie.
Nope.
Yup.
Was there?
They watched Speed.
Oh, you're right. They did watch. God damn it! I forgot that they watched Speed. That was really good too.
So I'm at 10 for 15.
Of course, they turned on the motel TV and fucking Speed is on. God.
Yeah, that's a good reference though. Like, if you're gonna make a dumb Speed reference, like
it's in the Sonic movie. It made like what movie would you reference in Sonic besides speed, that's perfect. Yeah, no.
All right, I got a really good rating, 10 of 15. That is, I believe, a passing grade of 67%.
That's pretty solid.
I got a D.
So my predictions were that Sonic would sports well. At some point, that Sonic would play a sport.
Okay,
And
he sports.
He did do sports. Sonic human love interest, which... Does bromance count?
Yeah. You know what? Yes.
It kind of does. It's almost true, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a little bit... Like, a lot of this is about him finding his family again, and he finds a human to stay with. So, I don't know. I think that that's kind of in there. This one makes me mad. This one makes me really mad because I missed two things in this one in the same time. I was so close. Eggman fart joke. And Eggman doesn't do a fart joke. Sonic does the fart joke. And Sonic does the fart joke because of something that I should have guessed they would have, which is that he eats a chili dog.
How did you fuck up chili
dogs? I don't fucking know. How did I not figure that it would be Sonic because of chili dogs? So I guess that no Eggman fart joke. I have to cross that one off. I almost want to, like... Is that like a half a point? I'm like, I feel like I needed to talk to the teacher after class and be like, hey, listen, there is a fart joke in this movie. It's not Eggman, but it's real close.
We'll give you half. You were close.
He was going to say gotta go fast, which he did.
Yeah.
I had guessed that there would be an MCU-style setup. They would do like a cinematic universe setup. And I was right!
There was, yeah. At the end, there's a mid-credits.
They do a mid-credits fucking full-on Marvel setup. They absolutely do it.
Can we stop for a second, real quick here too? The credits do a 8-bit, or technically 16-bit, I guess, because the Genesis, right?
It was 16-bit.
They do a 16-bit credit scene of Sonic with all the characters, and you see like Jim Carrey as Eggman and the little machine and everything. I really like that the video game movies are doing that now, because Detective Pikachu did that also, and it's super nostalgic and charming and great, and it's colorful, and I like that they put that in at the end.
It shows that they know
like
the property. Like it
yeah, they know the property and they care about the audience.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. Like it looks and feels like the sprite work and stuff at the end of it looks and feels exactly like a Sonic game. And so it's like, oh, so there's somebody in this that knows what the fuck Sonic is. Like, because a lot of the times with those old movies, the old video game movies that we got used to having, you could tell, like, there was nobody that had a say in the movie who had any idea what the actual property was.
Oh,
right?
No,
like,
definitely.
the Super Mario movie, I actually love it too. But it's terrible because, like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing with that. Like, they're like, plumber, check. There's a dinosaur thing. Sure.
Look,
like, yeah,
The Super Mario Brothers movie was somebody who heard their kid talk about Mario Brothers, and then they made a film off of that description.
No.
Fine.
That's not what it's like. It's like if they heard a kid describe Super Mario Brothers, but that kid had heard it from another kid, and that kid had heard it from another kid. It's like fucking telephone for Super Mario Brothers.
When you were a kid, at least in our age group, the way you found out about video games was from other kids at school who learned about it from other kids who knew a kid who had the game. That is an accurate description of the game given that context.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. It was like the telephone version of Super Mario Brothers and then passed on to studio execs.
Why are they called the Mario Brothers? Well, their last name's Mario. Then why is he named Mario? Because he's Mario. What about Luigi? He's also Mario.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Hey, listen, they weren't concerned with story back in those days for the games. Which is why it's weird that Sonic actually works here and has had like so much story and stuff built around it. Because there's been a lot of TV shows and stuff on Sonic too. In any case, back to my list. My number 6 one was a last-second ring grab to live. Which, yup.
Yeah, I guess that happened.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
couple times,
I know
actually.
You said you didn't want spoilers. Do you want me to tell you? Because it's definitely in there.
No, it happened like 2 or 3 times actually. Now I think.
Yeah, I think that it happened more than once. There's one that's like very clearly what I was kind of referencing though, where it's like big climactic moment, and then he's got to reach out and grab a ring.
Yeah,
and it's kind of that thing. One-liner with sunglasses, CSI style, and that's not in there.
No sunglasses.
There's nothing in there.
There were. Hold on. Technically, there were sunglasses, but it was when Donut Lord was talking to Donuts, not Sonic.
Yeah, well, and then there's like a Jim Carrey joke with where he's got like his sunglasses broken. But there's not like what I meant was like Sonic would put on some sunglasses and do a one-liner, right?
Yeah, unfortunately not.
Well, not even unfortunately. That's actually thinking about that, like that one, and another one that I have, number 13, which is that there would be like Transformer noises or reference to that for the robots, which there isn't. I made some predictions along those lines, thinking about like other properties like Smurfs or like any of the, I don't know, like Garfield the movie.
Properties that don't have enough content to stand on their own, so they reference other things.
Well, I don't even think that it's that they don't have enough content. It's that the makers of the films, like they're trying to just kind of scattershot something that will be funny. And so what they do is they kind of it feels like the easiest slapstick way to slap one of these movies.
Like the Not Another Teen Movie or like those garbage type of
kind
films
of. I mean, I think that the way to make a lot of these movies, to slap them together really quick and fast, is to just take a bunch of things that are popular in like the current pop culture and just kind of jam them into the movie, like just kind of smash them together, and just put a bunch of like these old kind of references. And
those are the types of films that are old when they come out, because they were written for pop culture references that are already gone.
Sure, or they're just really tropey. They're just full of tropes. Like, because like I mean, the CSI style one-liner with the sunglasses is not. It wasn't invented by CSI Miami. It's just that it kind of was typified by that because it's such an absurd extent of it in that show. And so, like, that it's not really a pop culture reference so much as, like, a huge trope. But I figured that this movie would just be jam-packed with them, because that's how they make most of these style of movies. They're just trope after trope after trope after trope. And this movie's not really like that. So I was like, hey, some of these predictions being wrong are actually good things for the movie. So I was kind of happy about that.
That's true.
I also had Rescues Animals as number 8. So I got that one right.
Okay, yep.
I had there would be a Sonic loop. And there is, right at the beginning of the film. They have, like, the Sonic loops from the video game. And I was surprised. I was happy to see that.
Yeah, the opening of the game, or the opening of the movie,
is the opening of the game. Like, it's the same thing.
The opening of the game. It's Green Hill Zone.
Yeah, they have a very
they go to Green Hills.
Stylized
that's clever.
world that he's on, like, a different planet, and that planet is all the, like, loops of, like, weird stone with checkerboard on them and stuff, exactly like a Sonic game, which is cool. It was nice. Kind of neat little thing to have there. Another one that I had is number 10. This was actually from my wife. She thought about this, and she said, oh, I wonder if there's going to be Sonic drowning with the music. Like,
with the
actual Sonic drowning music. And there isn't. That one would have been good. But, like, I mean, you can't always have him drown, so.
There's also not, like, Sonic standing on the edge and, like, rotating his arms, almost falling off or whatever.
No, yeah, there's no, like, whoa! Like yeah. Like that little animation.
They did throw in references to his animations, though. He does the idle animation in even the trailer part when they were showing the missiles flying towards him.
Yep. Yeah, actually.
They did that. The idle animation's in there. When he's, like, waiting and checking his watch. That's there. Like, they threw in a little bit as, like, Easter eggs, for sure.
Oh, wait, I actually missed one thing that... I transferred over the list to make it a little bit clearer, because I've got really bad chicken scratch.
Yeah.
And I had a 14th prediction, and I'd forgotten about it. I just saw it here.
Oh.
And it revolves around that, which was that he would do a spin dash, which he does. He does a bunch of spin dashes, actually. So, like, they do have that reference to, like, some of the motions that he does in the game, for sure. So then we've got the spin dash, and then we also I had furries as a prediction, which doesn't happen. Although I think there's a way to do that would have been really good. And then last one is a little bit of a spoiler again, which is introduction of side characters. Tails, Shadow, or Knuckles. And they did one of them.
Tails is there.
They did them.
Yeah. I think that counts. There's information about that. I don't think that's a spoiler.
Yeah, fair. I wish that they had. I kind of wish that we had gotten to an absurd point. We didn't. We got some references to the movies, to the video games in the movie, but like we didn't get the good ones. We never had the president have like a picture of Shadow and Sonic on his desk, going like, "Man, these are my best friends. I wish they'd save the world with me again." We didn't give Sonic a gun and turn him black so that he was the bad Sonic.
Oh my god! What if they had a reporter? It's like, "I want pictures of Sonic," like slamming his desk.
You didn't give Sonic a gun though. I need Sonic with a gun. When's Shadow coming?
Soon.
The thing is that actually they're probably gonna set that up. I'm pretty sure they're going there.
The problem with Shadow coming to the film is that they would also need to put a very sexy Rouge the Bat, and I'm not okay with that.
I'm so down for all of these stupid things happening.
No.
I can't wait for the dumb Sonic shit
So,
to go.
was that your whole list?
That was my whole list.
Okay, there's a few things, as you're tallying that up, there's a few things I noticed that we did not write down. Supersonic.
Yeah.
That happened, by the way. In a way, near the end.
Yep, for sure.
There wasn't a moment where Sonic runs by a kid playing Super Nintendo and says, "Hey kid, Sega does what Nintendo."
Oh god, yeah, that could have been a thing, for sure.
And then during the Baby Sonic sections, there wasn't a Baby Nut reference.
Oh, good. Well, I mean, there couldn't be a baby
Hashtag
nut. Was,
Baby Nut.
Hashtag Baby Nut.
Hashtag
God
Baby
damn
Nut.
it. You just wanted to talk about Baby Nut yourself. That's all that is.
Yo,
'Cause
let's
they
talk
can't have a
about Baby
reference in
Nut.
there.
Everybody loves the fact that the Planters Peanut died a horrible death and then got reincarnated as a baby nut because of the Kool-Aid Man's tears.
We live in a
Anyway, what
fucking
was the
world,
tally?
man. We live. I'm just kind of staring into the void right now. That is a real thing that happened. I got 9.5 out of 14, so about the same score.
9.5 out of 14. That's not bad.
Yeah, about the same score as you. So, like, 9.5 out of 14.
1 second.
We got
So
the Eggman hat.
that is out of... So we got a 67%.
Yeah.
About a 2 out of 3 prediction rate. And you know what? 67% is a passing grade. That is a D, my friend.
Exactly. And that's about
D+.
what this movie
Shit.
has on Rotten Tomatoes. Maybe about plus 3%?
It's somewhere around 69?
Question mark?
70-ish?
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, one of the other obvious ones that we talked about, like that we missed already, as I said, was, man, I can't believe we both missed Chili Dog. How do we both miss
Chili Dog should have been on there. If we grabbed Chili Dog, hold on, I need to do some math, do some calculations.
Okay.
All right.
You got to science some
10
shit up.
plus 9.5 plus the Chili Dog factor.
Oh yeah, the Chili Dog factor is important in science. I know all about that. That changes a lot of things.
If you round up, that puts us at 69%.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Nice.
Thought you might like a latte with steamed Austrian goat milk.
Of course I want a latte. I love the way you make them!
We gotta lay low. Let me show you how it's done. So should we get out of here?
Yeah, time to go.
I always want to do this. Nailed it! Uh-oh. Let's go! Here comes the boom!
How are you not dead?
I have no idea!
Oh! Give me a big, fat break!
Should we go into every time that the dog showed up? Because there's 5 dog moments.
There's 5?
Yeah.
I only remember 3.
I wrote them all down. Or
I don't remember the dog's name, but the dog is adorable.
You don't remember the dog's name? It's Ozzy, please. Ozzy is like one of the
All I know
last.
is it's a golden retriever.
Ozzy is in the end of the movie. Ozzy's like the finale. That's like the denouement has Ozzy in it. He's like the last lines are related to Ozzy.
Yeah.
They have him.
They do end the movie with a dog licking Sonic's face. It's adorable.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a great dog movie. It's got at least 5 moments of dog. There's the Golden Lab. He shows up in the house right at the beginning when they're kind of like hanging out, like they're introducing the 2 human characters. The couple that he adopts as his family, essentially. Then I have that Ozzy. What is that? Ozzy. Oh boy, my writing sucks.
Well, he reveals.
Oh yeah,
Sonic
that's what it was.
later.
Actually, Ozzy reveals Sonic. Yeah. So when he's hiding in the house, he runs over and starts like barking at him and pulls it down.
Pulling
and
out
stuff.
a sheet or
Pulls the
something.
sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they take him in there to get healed up by vet lady, and then they have the dog stare down, so he stares down the dog, which was great.
Hey, there can only be one animal friend here, pal.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you
All
can't,
right,
you're
you
his
win.
best friend. I want to be his best friend, and stares the dog down, which is really cute, actually. The dog is heckin' awesome.
It was
it's
very
a golden
cute.
lab, so it's a really nice dog.
Yeah.
And then the dog is watching the tied up sister. He's just sitting there, just like staring at her.
Yeah. What a good
He's
dog.
just being a good boy. He's just guarding her. He's just sitting there wagging his tail, watching her as she's like tied in the chair. And then at the end, the dog at the house, right at the end of this movie. And then like off screen, there's a last reference because they have him like lick and bark at Sonic or whatever. But it's not shown.
The only problem with this movie is there's a little bit of an elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
One, not enough human teeth.
There is not enough human teeth.
Just mouth sounds, teeth.
I'm actually kind of
every scene.
Yeah, I'm a little bit mad that like at first I was mad that they'd redesigned Sonic because I was like, oh man, this movie's gonna be trash and it's gonna be so much better trash if Sonic just doesn't look like Sonic at all. And they made Sonic look great. Sonic looks exactly like Sonic now, and I would have been normally I was going to be upset about them like making Sonic look good in a bad movie because then it would just like kind of undercut what I would find funny about it. But this is a good movie, so now I'm like, okay, I'm actually glad they did the redesign because this movie is like, I mean, not a great movie or anything, but it's an acceptable movie. Like this movie is pretty fine, so I'm like, oh, it deserves a good Sonic.
The problem, well, there's two problems. One, the fact that fan outrage can dramatically change the way a film is created is something to keep in check and in mind.
Yes. It's good and bad there in that, like, it's nice that they listened to feedback that did help the movie, but it is also a kind of slippery slope of it really invites people to just scream over the internet at, movie makers and try and get things to happen. Star Wars.
Fucking Star Wars. The second problem is the studio that did the reanimation fucking absolutely killed it.
Yes.
Like, it's so good.
It's incredible.
It's so good. And they all got immediately shit canned as soon as they were done. Done. Get out.
They made them work
We're over.
huge amounts of overtime, and then they fired them a week before Christmas.
Yeah. So that story is important.
It's incredibly exploitative what they did to them. And after watching the movie, this movie, it doesn't look good. It looks fantastic. Like
it looks so good.
Holy shit. The visual effects in this are actually incredible. Like they're really, really good. It's incredibly smooth. Like sure, Sonic looks very cartoony and very much like out of place in a real world kind of situation, but that's what you wanted. Because the thing is he looks like Sonic, right? It didn't matter that like no matter what, CGI isn't going to exactly fit in with a world that's a real life world, but you wanted to make him look like Sonic and animate like Sonic and that kind of thing, and he does, and he looks incredible while doing it. Like they have some very, very awesome scenes. There is a showdown at the end. It's very standard in shots in some ways.
It's like,
but like
typical action schlock type of thing.
But it looks good.
It looks good, and it's entertaining.
Yeah,
which is
like
the important
exactly. Like I'm not trying to say this is the greatest movie ever or anything like that, or the best special effects ever. But it's a really, really good job of Sonic for sure. Like way better than it should be. But like, there's a moment of Dr. Robotnik pulling down red goggles because Robotnik is obviously kind of red themed, same as the games.
Yeah.
And Sonic blue, and as he pulls down like the goggles, it's a really tight shot of him, and you've got like a reflection of Sonic in it, and it's just awesome. Like it looks really good. Like visual wise, that looks stunning. Like it's just a really good CGI.
There's a lot of good shots with good lighting, and they put a lot of thought into how they wanted the characters to appear on screen. There's not a lot of just like flat lighting situations.
even for a movie that goes on like a road trip where they're in a car a lot of the movie, well, in a truck, but they're in like a vehicle for most of the film, kind of having like this buddy road quest thing. They have a lot of dynamic lighting and stuff, even so, because like they go to a biker bar at night, like they go, like it's a lot of day night things, and like they use a lot of that lighting for it. It's not just like middle of the day flat light.
Like the gaffers did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever they got for that particular job on this movie, great job. And outside of that, the animators, every scene where there was animation needed, it's very cartoony, but it's in a way that makes sense and in a way that is fun and interesting.
It's exactly what you wanted it to be. Like, it looks cartoony, but there's no getting away from that. When you put live action and CGI together, it's going to be really hard to do that. I'd much rather them just lean into it being cartoony and just make you suspend your disbelief about that than to try and force it to look real 100% and end up in these horrible uncanny valleys that they are doing now. Call of the Wild! Like, where they animate the dog for no fucking reason, because it's just a real dog.
I can't believe they got Gollum to act like a dog.
Yes.
It's great.
And it's great, sure. It looks like, it's so uncanny, right? Like, it doesn't look right.
It looks awful.
So it looks awful. Like, it being closer to real is actually detrimental to it. This one just leans hard into, it's fucking Sonic, enjoy. And that's great. That's what it needed to do. I'm so glad that they did that. Like, they didn't care. They didn't need to make Sonic look real. They just made Sonic look like Sonic, and then they were like, whatever. Like, once they did the redesign. That was the problem with the first design, is that, like, they were like, well, in the video game, his eyes are close together. In real life, like, nothing has eyes like that. Like, the eyes would be further apart. So they're like,
they way overthought
yes,
it.
they move the eyes apart, and they do all these
problem.
kinds of, like, proportion things to make it look more realistic.
And then they put teeth.
Give them
and then
teeth.
they put teeth.
Like,
and then they
and it's like, no. Like, you don't want to make Sonic look real. You want to make Sonic look like Sonic. Who gives a shit if he looks real? It's a video game movie. Like, it's for children. It's for children. It's supposed to be something that's just kind of unreal and fun and just a fantasy thing. Let it just be a fantasy. It's fine for it to be a fantasy. You can do that.
This and Detective Pikachu are sort of the modern day Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't need to be anything more than that.
No.
And that's
no. And this doesn't need to be Citizen Kane. It's not. It just needs to be fun. And I had a lot of fun in this movie. Like, I wrote down a section that was supposed to be groans and eye rolls, and there's nothing. Like, I didn't have any moment where I was like, look at what came out of my egg sac I put in there. Right, there it is.
Egg sac, breastfeeding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Olive Garden twice.
Okay, that part sucked, but somebody had spoiled that for me right beforehand, so I knew going into it. So
They had to use their Olive Garden money somewhere.
Holy shit, they did get their Olive Garden money.
Do you think Sega's gonna make enough off of this where they don't need Olive Garden
in the sequel? Where they don't need to keep referencing Olive Garden?
I hope so.
I think that they will always want to make that extra Olive Garden bucks. Hey, dude, they have limitless pasta bowls, and they want to get in on that.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is I have a limit for how much fucking Olive Garden you can reference.
It got real close. They start out where he's like, the only app that I have on my... She's talking to the other human character, like the couple are talking. And she's like, oh, well, like, what's on your phone? Like, oh, my sister says that I should look at your phone because her sister doesn't like him. And he's like, well, the only thing that I have on my phone besides the regular apps is the Olive Garden app. And then they say the slogan together. And it's like, oh, Lord. That's the only thing I have on my phone.
It's like in Snakes on a Plane where they take a whole scene to zoom in on a Red Bull can for a minute while they're having a conversation in the background, just so that they can get their Red Bull money so they can film the rest of the Snakes on a Plane movie. It's fine. It's just, it's really shitty.
It didn't make it to Adam Sandler levels of like, Dunkachino.
Oh yeah.
You didn't get a Dunkachino.
Like he's just,
but, you know.
Oh, what about this Pepto-Bismol? And he's like turning the bottle towards the camera
very slowly so that you can
label.
see.
Yeah, come on, Jesus.
It's got to have like a little like if you open up a Coke can, you got to make sure that you like brush it with a little bit of water beforehand, so it's got like a little bit of that dewy look, like it's nice and fresh and cool. Yeah.
And the laptop back always has the back facing the camera, so you can always see who made it. And, like,
this one, I was actually like, so I was looking for product placements after hearing about the Olive Garden stuff, and they had a laptop moment where, like, I think it was the girlfriend again, the vet girlfriend had a.
Oh yeah, because she was looking.
She was looking for something, and she had the laptop out. I couldn't place the laptop. Like, surprisingly enough, they didn't actually have it on there. Like, so they had all these Olive Garden product placements. I didn't find like anything else. It's weird. Like, so as far as like everything else is really subtle. Like, I couldn't really find anything. Like, there was Bush and Miller signs in the bar. Like, but that just kind of felt.
That could just be a.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, that really, like, they were really in the background. Like, it did not feel like it was an advertisement for them at all. Like, they were on scene for split seconds, and it felt just, this is a bar, right? Like, it didn't feel like it was an actual advertisement for it. It felt like they shot it in a bar and they had them. So like, or, you know, took accoutrements from a bar to do that. It didn't feel like a product placement really. Maybe it was, but I don't even think it was. So, I mean, there was really nothing else besides the Olive Garden, which was weird because, man, the Olive Garden stuff was fucking blatant shit.
It was so
blatant. Like,
I hated it.
The finale also does the same thing, where the government comes by and gives him a reward for being a good citizen, and it's an Olive Garden fucking gift card, and it has... He goes like, well, yeah, it's a really good reward. Don't you know that they have limitless pasta bowls and stuff? And I'm like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Shut up.
That scene is very stupid, but it bordered on actually being comedic, because you wouldn't expect a fucking $50 gift card.
Yeah, I mean, like...
So, like... At least there's some writing there.
There was. I was on... That one bothered me the most because I was almost happy about it because it was kind of funny, but it also, like, really bothered me because it was so blatant. And, like, that scene, like, the setup for that scene is very stupid. And so, obviously, the reason that it exists is purely to get that Skrilla from Olive Garden. And I'm like,
yeah, for
fuck,
sure.
like, that sucks, and it sucks that I kind of almost chuckled at it because it's just so stupid and so weird. But it's like, fuck, I kind of thought it was almost funny just because it's like, like you said, like, General comes by and gives you reward for serving your country, and you're like, oh, what is this? A fucking Olive Garden, and you're like, oh, god damn it. Like,
it's like punching you in the face.
It's so, like, you
just out of nowhere.
You can't help but laugh a little bit at that, even though you know that you're just being product placement at that. Like,
they're like, oh, it's Olive Garden.
Sucks. God damn it. It sucks more. I hate it. You can't end the podcast. I'm out. I'm done.
Oh, we didn't rate the dog. No, it's over.
No person rewarded from their country deserves to get a fucking Olive Garden receipt.
I mean, yeah. Okay. So... let's rate the dog.
Ozzy is...
I would like to rate the dog 5 scenes out of 5.
5 out of 5 scenes? I kind of want to, like, science between... We need to start getting all the dogs and listing them off and doing, like, a ranking of where they place on our list of dogs at this point.
Oh my god.
I don't know if Ozzy cracks top 5, but Ozzy's up there.
No.
This is just a really cute golden lab. This is a really nice boy. He doesn't really bark. He doesn't really do anything. He's always just kind of sitting there, just kind of staring at things. It's real calm and quiet. Just a nice old boy. So I'm going to give him an old boy out of 10. But, you know, not the movie because that's a little.
Oh no.
I don't think Ozzy has any incestuous relationships. I hope. maybe in the sequel.
So, what about Sonic the Hedgehog?
How do we rate Sonic? God, Sonic was Ben Schwartz. I think that they picked the perfect person to be Sonic. I think Ben Schwartz fucking nailed it. His enthusiasm for the movie, normally, like, there's been a lot of things. I almost just want to talk about marketing here for just a half second with like Star Wars and things like that, where there's been a lot of fans going around and nitpicking every interview that people do on that really, really long interview circuit that they have with like every weird internet show and stuff now, and how the actors get really tired of it by the end and they all just look tired and run down, and then they go, oh, see, they didn't really want to be in the movie, right? And they kind of nitpick through that. And I think that a lot of that is actually, like, they're just tired of that circuit at a certain point. And sometimes they might be tired of the movie. But there's a lot of that kind of thing. I think that if you went through and looked at all of Ben Schwartz's interviews, he never seems to have anything but the utmost enthusiasm for this role. And same with Jim Carrey. Like, they just seemed really excited to play these parts in this movie, and like it was going to be a blast. Like, they enjoyed the hell out of it. Jim Carrey, in a few interviews, was just like, oh man, this movie was just me playing. And you can tell, like, okay, I actually had a moment written down, too, where Jim Carrey does a fucking JoJo pose. Like,
he does.
He totally
100% he does a JoJo pose. Yes!
He absolutely JoJo poses inside of the trailer. Like, he's doing, like, this big dance routine, and he, like, cocks his knee and throws his arms up in this weird way, and I'm like, holy shit, like, he's a fucking JoJo character. He is so good in this movie. He's so animated, and every scene with him is just so funny. He's a perfect Robotnik. I had my doubts about it originally, but watching him, man, the casting in this is absolutely pitch perfect. And, like, Ben Schwartz, like I said, he just feels like he's got this enthusiasm for it outside of the movie, and I feel like it's in the movie, too. Like, inside of the movie, it felt like he was really into the role and really enjoying it and not, like, phoning anything in at all, and he just really nailed it. And when you see his stuff outside of it, when you look at any of the interviews that he did and all the talk that he has about it, it seems like he actually really enjoyed the movie and really wanted to play Sonic because this is something that he played when he was growing up and stuff, and was like, oh shit, I get to be Sonic. Like, it seemed like he actually enjoyed all that, and it came across in the film. Like, there was just a genuine joy to a lot of what was happening in this movie, and it's hard not to, when everybody on set seems to be enjoying themselves and just kind of loves what they're doing, it's really hard to make a bad film. Like, a film that is actively just hard to watch. There's always going to be something about it that just has, like, this kind of charm, and this movie has a lot of just little charming bits to it because of how much they cared about this role. Man, Jim Carrey has so many good lines, though. I love it's time to push buttons. It's just such a great, like, the time for talking over. It's time to push buttons. And there's a slow motion of, like, Jim Carrey's, like, wild face as he's, like, trying to jam down on this button to shoot something at Sonic. It's just so good. Like, really slow motion because Sonic goes into super speed, and this is, like, he's just got this fucking shit-eating grin on his face as they've got, like, the button in the foreground and his face, like, going for this button. There's so many, like, that doesn't sound as funny as it is. It's so fucking good watching him do that. He's just got this, he does physical humor in a way that's so good.
There's a lot that he can do with his face that is very
This
funny.
is something,
yes.
I think that this is maybe, to me, at this point, some of the pinnacle of his physical comedy, honestly. Like, he's really perfected it over the years. It's not over the top, but it's funny. It's not as, like, animated as some of his movies. Like, he doesn't do, like, the Ace Ventura, like head shakes and things like that. Like, it's not quite that.
Oh, no, he doesn't go, like, he does very over-the-top bullshit shenanigan body movements and voice work, but it's not, like, I guess it's not in a way where you would, like, think it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
I don't
know. Like, there's something about it where sometimes in those old movies, I think that he kind of goes over a line where it's just like, wow, that's a lot, right? Like, it's too much. And he kind of rides that line this time, where he never really goes into a place where you're like, this is just a little much. Like, it's kind of embarrassing. Like, it never gets to there. It just gets to, like, this guy is fucking kooky. It always ends up on a line there where it never quite goes to a point where you're looking at it and going like, oh, this is embarrassing. It ends up being just funny every time.
So you would rate Sonic the Hedgehog in this film as Ben Schwartz out of 10?
Yes. Yeah. Ben Schwartz as joy out of 10. He just has a joy.
I would rate Sonic the Hedgehog as unlimited soup salad and breadsticks out of 10.
Wow. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's Sonic.
This is my power, and I'm using it to protect my friends. Let's go! Let's go! So, you're supposed to be Tom's best friend that he won't shut up about. Well, I don't see the appeal. That is very gross. Let's go!
Thanks for watching, everybody, and listening, and everything else. If you're watching this podcast, I don't know what you're doing, because it's audio only, but thank you.
Don't watch it. You can't watch it. It'd be really boring to watch the podcast.
It's like watching grass
I mean,
grow,
you could see
there's
all, like, the audio lines. You could probably look at who... You can see when moments are real good by how much there's a spike. I'm sure you could find that.
But yeah, thank you for shouting us out on social media. If you have not done so, we would very much appreciate that. If you would like our podcast on Podbean as well as iTunes. We're on iTunes, right?
Yep, yeah.
And anywhere else where you can get podcasts, that would be appreciated. Tell your friends, tell your Sonic fans, tell your Sonic fan fictions.
If you're going to watch our podcast too, make sure that you get a good Winamp Sonic skin if you do, because like that's the best way to watch it for sure. That's the Rough Cuts approved way to watch our podcast, is get a Sonic Winamp skin.
But yeah, thank you, and we'll see you next episode.
Of course I want a latte.
I love the way you make them!